Welcome to the Interstate Mets Report with your hosts, Nelson and Chris.
What is up to all you lovely people? It is Friday, March 8th, 2024, and we are back with another episode of the Interstate Mets Report. I am joined by my co-host, Nelson, and this is a little bit of an unusual stream. We have an announcement to make up front, but I just want to say what's up to my buddy, Nelson. How are you doing? It's good to see you again.
What's up? What's up? I'm doing. Having to do this. Had to drive to a local grocery store parking lot to do this because my power is out. So, but we're making it happen for the. Well, we'll go ahead and say it. Our last our last episode. At least for the time being. Who knows? Maybe we'll come back to it at some point.
Sure. Yeah. And just to let you all know, the title of this episode is the Interstate Mets Report Finale for a reason. We have decided to forego the Interstate Mets Report weekly streams for the foreseeable future. Like Nelson just said, just a whole bunch of different sort of things to take into consideration, scheduling, just individual content that we're doing. So we want to do this little last hurrah here and leave the door open for something in the future, a collaboration in the future, because I think that it would be good. And obviously, we've been doing this for so long. I mean, this is like episode 43, 44, whatever it is. We started it back, and I believe it was June of 2023, right in the midst of that season. So it's really been fun. And we do still have a little bit to talk about here today with spring training. Now, I haven't talked to you, Nelson, per se, in about a week and a half, especially with anything Mets related. So on that front, I'm not exactly sure how much you've kept up with spring training. I'm sure you have, obviously, here and there. But, at this time, spring training, 11 games in, it's not the most exciting thing. But I want to make sure to just sort of take some time out and just shout out some people here that have been with us from the start, right? I mean, we've been doing this Interstate Mets Report for however many months it's been. It's March already, so we've been doing it since June. Let's say 9 months, 40 plus episodes, talking about a whole bunch of different topics. It feels kind of surreal that it might be our last little go round here. But Stevie Mack, one of our supporters from day one, shout out to Stevie. This is truly a sad day, and we appreciate the support. But we're here to stay on YouTube. We're still going to be doing our individual content, right, Nelson? I'm not sure if you want to tell everybody what you have planned for your channel and kind of give a synopsis there, but we're not going anywhere. It's just the name Interstate Mets Report is going to retire for just a little bit. So I'm not sure if you want to spit a little bit on that front before we actually talk some ball and some Mets ball. But we also have Tom over here. Boo, hit that dislike button, he's saying. And we have Carlos Ramos in the chat too. So I appreciate everybody. But yeah, Nelson, just wanted to give you the opportunity before we actually get into it to sort of say your piece and then say what you're going to be doing on your channel for this season.
Um, sorry about that. My kid is actually was with me. But yeah. So first off, I do want to, like you said, thank everybody that's been with us for the ride from the start. Um, I will say, like, most of this is on me. I had to do a lot of thinking about what I want to do as far as the content game and everything, and the time commitment, and just a lot of stressors in my life going on right now, and I just wasn't. I stopped enjoying Mets baseball and talking about Mets baseball, so that was a red flag for me because if I'm not, I can't do this if I'm not enjoying. Like, the Mets have been the one constant in my life since I was a little kid. For me not to enjoy watching games and not to enjoy talking about that's not good. So I wanted to pull back a little bit. I'm not going to stop doing content altogether, but I just don't want to, like, be committed to anything right now. Like, if I feel like jumping on and making a video, I will. If I feel like jumping on and doing a comments after a game or something, cool. I'd still love to be a guest on. I know you're still gonna have your shows. I'm down to, like, guest spot here and there. I just can't right now fully commit into doing content as much as I was doing because it just got to the point where I just
Right.
wasn't enjoying it. Wasn't fun for me. I was starting to get like irritated. Um, and truly, I have like this is the granted I'm not a big spring training guy anyways, but this is the first spring in a while where I've kind of just been totally checked out. I mean I follow here and there, but I just haven't enjoyed any of it. The stupid and then there's the time commitment of just like keeping up with what everybody's like in tune with and arguing about on Twitter or X or whatever you have. And it was just starting to get annoying. Like what I told you, messaging you, like I'm sitting here reading arguments about a freaking dance team. Like what the hell are we doing? And
Right.
that's
Right.
like I don't want to have to comment on stuff like that. I don't want to. And when you do this, you almost feel like forced to comment on every little thing you see. So I just need to like step back for a moment, like let things settle. Maybe we'll kick it back up. But I mean, you're my guy, so I'm still gonna be into what you're doing. We'll still talk, and if we decide to ramp things back up, that would be cool. But for the time being, we kind of need to or I need to just step back a little bit. But I'll still be around. Don't go unsubscribing to the channel or nothing like that. There'll still be videos, and there'll still be content. It's just it's gonna be a little more sporadic, and I'm just gonna do it when it feels more natural, not just like I need to make a video today because freaking Mark Vientos can't hit worth a dick, which I already knew, but apparently people are just figuring out.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and it makes sense too. Like I think a lot of people like and sorry to overtake the chat with sort of just like the ins and outs of this show. We're gonna get to Met stuff here in just a second and talk about spring training, so bear with us. We appreciate it. Um, I think a lot of people forget us doing content here. Like we try to pump out as much as we can. We try to stay updated on all the different topics. We try to form the most objective opinions, right? Not to just get this up and running for views. Obviously, viewership is great, but we also want to just like stick true to what we're saying. And also, it gets just a little bit much sometimes too. So I think that is kind of like the synopsis of what, the conversations that we've had offline and also just talking about it right now. That's kind of where we're at with this whole entire thing. And like you just said, like, I'm going to have my content pumping out on the channel. Got some stuff already set up. You're going to have sporadic content. You're going to take a little bit of step back, but content's going to keep rolling everybody's way from your channel as well. And we're leaving this open for a potential return. Like we are probably not going to do this for the foreseeable future. We'll see if we get on here again at any point this season. Definitely is going to be toward the tail end if we do it. But we're leaving it open, right? Like this could make a return. This could not make a return. It's all about how we're feeling, but we will still be doing content together here and there, right? Whenever you feel like it, whenever you're up for it, joining in on the pregame show with Rob and I that we're going to be doing, or anything else that we got going on. So I hear you. And like I said, to everybody in the chat, that's sort of, I guess, wondering if this is so abrupt, what's happening. There's no hard feelings. There's no bad blood. Obviously, like we've been doing this from the start. Ever since I started this YouTube channel, I promise you, like Nelson was one of the first people that I hit up and I was like, yo, we need to start doing content together. We need to make a show together. And not 2 months after I started my YouTube channel and dropped my first video, Nelson and I had made this Interstate Mets report together. So, like, it was a very fast thing. We've been doing it from the start. I know you got into the game a little bit like ahead of me. And you've been doing it for a little bit longer than I have. But yeah, like I said, it's no hard feelings. And I think everybody in this chat is going to support everybody here, not only everybody in the chat together, but us as well. If we need to take a step back, Nelson, you're obviously taking a step back. Darren saying it right here. We all support you, Nelson. And Carlos is kind of saying that same sentiment. He understands the sentiment. He hears you. He's taken a step back as well before. It really sucks, but we'll get through it. And yeah, absolutely. It's just something where schedules just don't align right now. And just the overall Mets offseason really did take a slice out of a lot of content creators. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think people realize that this offseason, from a content standpoint, to go and repeat ourselves hundreds of times and also just have some people who came into the chat or were commenting on things and basically like we're angry that the Mets weren't making moves. Like, we don't dictate the moves. We're just here to talk about them. Or in this case, the offseason with a lack of moves for the New York Mets. But nonetheless, the season's finally here. There's not going to be any more repeating ourselves. It's just going to be straight to the point of doing it. And that's exactly what I'm going to continue on my channel as well. And I know that you are going to hop on from time to time on your channel and do that as well. So I appreciate everybody in the chat showing us love. Stevie Mac and Jay from JNY Sports. I know he's not here right now, but they've been supporting the Interstate Mets report from the start. Like, Nelson, I know you remember very well when we first started our channel, we had like 3 or 4 people in the chat consistently, and that was our viewership. We'd be lucky to get 15 to 20 views in total on YouTube. But I think it really started to take off at the beginning of this off season, and we really started to, I guess, get a lot more eyes on us. And I know your X platform took off, and it's just been amazing growth since then. And we have everybody in this chat right now, whether you're in the comment section, Timothy's been here for a while as well. We've just got an immense amount of support, and we definitely appreciate that. So I want to make sure that we echo that, and we will definitely state that at the end once we do our final sign off here. But I just want to make sure that before we get into the actual Mets content, as always, it doesn't change. Hit that thumbs up. Keep subscribing if you're new here, because like we said, the content's not going to stop on our respective channels. It's not. We're going to be releasing Mets content, and you'll be hearing from us. I'll be on here very frequently. I don't have any plans to sort of stop the content. I got a lot planned for the channel. But like I said, hit that thumbs up and keep dropping your thoughts in the live stream, because we want to have an interactive episode here like we always do. We always try to include everybody and prop everyone's comments up. But yeah, keep subscribing. Make sure you definitely don't unsubscribe, because people are taking a step back. People are still going to be on here. It's something where it's just going to be a little bit less frequent, and which is okay, because like at this point in spring training, what do we have to talk about? I do my spring training recaps, but obviously it's just spring training at the end of the day. You have people who are like, it's not the end all be all. We're only 11 games into spring training. And you have other people saying, oh, Brett Beatty and Mark Vientos look horrible. They shouldn't make the team. So, like, there's really a jack of all trades in this Mets fan base. And a lot of people are viewing this point of baseball right now, March 8th, very differently, which is hard to make content surrounding that as well when you have all these differences in opinions. But anything else on that front that I missed, Nelson, before we get into the actual content of today's video?
No, I think you pretty much nailed it. Well, I'll still be here, just like I said, just not as much. But and then, who knows? Once the season starts going and we get to actual ball games, maybe I will be on more often. I guess it depends on how things are going, how the Mets are playing. Like, if they're really like annoying the hell out of me, and I feel like I need to let my frustrations out, then maybe I'll throw a video up. Or if they're playing well, maybe I'll voice my pleasure with how they're doing. So, like I said, we'll see how it goes. We ain't going anywhere, and like you said, this could always come back later on down the road, and I'll still be supporting your channel and trying to be on here and there when if you want me on. So, we'll definitely do some things that's for sure.
Absolutely. I agree with that. And I think that's a perfectly well said segment to just kind of direct us and flow us into the actual spring training portion of things. We don't have too much to talk about today. Just want to talk about the initial impressions that these players have made on us so far. The Mets are 6-5. It's 11 games through spring training. We're sort of approaching, we haven't directly hit that midway point in spring training yet, but we are just about 3 weeks away until opening day in that opening series against the Brewers. So we're starting to notice some trends. I've been on my True Mets Talk podcast doing these recaps, not so much talking about the statistics of things, but talking about the processes of or the processes of these players, not so much the results. So, for example, I would look at an at bat like Brett Beatty in his first at bat yesterday, or Mark Vientos in all of his at bats, and say, listen, I don't care how he struck out, because the strikeout is the end result. That doesn't matter to me. But what is the process of their at bats? And to me, that also has been lacking. But we'll get into that here in just a second. what really has stood out to you initially, whether it's negative, whether it's positive? What has stood out to you in terms of these trends that you're seeing all across the board? Because we do have certain competitions as well that are going to be had in spring training. We're seeing them right now, and we're seeing them continue to sort of progress. What have you been seeing? What's your initial reactions?
All right. So anybody that knows me knows a few things. One, I do not trust Tyler McGill. I don't care what he does in spring. I need to see him do it on the mound in the regular season before I jump up and down over anything Tyler McGill does. So that's first thing. That's off the bat. Second thing, what did I say all off season, even before the off season started? I want us to get a DH because I cannot trust Mark Vientos and freaking DJ Stewart. And I know it's spring. I'll be the first one to say spring numbers don't mean anything. But when you got a guy that's battling for a job and he needs to make some sort of impression, and he goes out there and he just looks like absolute garbage, I'm sorry, that doesn't like make me feel all warm and fuzzy inside. Um, I know at this point it seems like this is what we're gonna roll with regardless. I don't feel good about it. I can't lie. I can't say that anything I've seen out of Mark Vientos is screaming this guy's my full-time DH.
Right.
And DJ Stewart, I told you I didn't believe in that little hot streak he had. So I
Yeah.
mean, I was fine bringing him back, but I didn't really want to give him much playing time to begin with. And then we get into Brett Beatty. Also, really, I mean, he's maybe been a little better if you want to argue semantics, but really not that good either. So right now, it looks like we have two. I mean, they can turn it around. I'm going to say that they can turn it around. It's only spring. They're working on things. Yada yada. I get all that. But if they don't, we have two holes in the lineup right off the bat. Like
Right.
third
Right.
base and DH is now what? Joey Wendell, Zach Short. These are the guys
Yeah.
we're relying on. Like, so it sucks. Like I said, I didn't have high expectations to begin with, but to see what I'm seeing so far, I'm not happy with it. Then again, if these guys were hitting 700, I mean, I know that's not realistic, but you know what I mean. Like, if they were
Right.
tearing the cover off the ball, does that mean like they're gonna go into the regular season and do the same thing? No, because like I just said, Tyler McGill is killing it in the spring. I don't really trust it. So it's like the numbers don't really mean anything. I need to see the results once the real games get started. But right now, I don't feel great. If I had to give Tyler McGill credit, yeah, I'd rather him do what he's doing than get lit up. So hopefully he can ride it in the spring, prove into the regular season and prove me wrong. Um, he's not my guy. People know that. If I have the guys that aren't my guys on this team, it's McGill and McNeil. Just not a fan. so,
Yeah.
um, so it is what it is. But yeah, I mean, we'll see how it goes. I don't know. The Senga news, I gotta admit, that one killed me when that happened because
Mhm.
I was still somewhat optimistic about this team. Now, not knowing when this guy's gonna pitch, I don't know. I gotta pull back a little bit. I'm obviously not gonna give up on them, and I'm still gonna watch every game and whatnot. But it's hard to feel like this can be a playoff team if we don't get Senga back and healthy somewhat soon, and it doesn't drag out till June, July.
Yeah.
That would scream we're in trouble. But who knows?
And this is like the back to back. This is the second time in a row that we've dealt with a huge blow to the starting rotation to begin the season. Last year is Justin Verlander, and Tyler McGill also benefited from that in terms of being the opening day starter. This year, it's obviously Kodai Senga. Um, Listen, on the point on McGill, I absolutely agree with you. And I think that Carlos also is saying preach about Mr. Tyler McGill because like the spring training is spring training. We all know that. Okay. And that's what CMAC is saying here. You can't condemn these guys based on preseason games. We understand that. And that's actually true. Absolutely. But we know what Tyler McGill has been the last couple of seasons. He has a great month of April, right? Maybe even into like early May. And then he just either gets injured or he just falters. And that's how it goes for the rest of the 162. He's great for a month and a half, and then he just falls off of a cliff. And that's exactly what the Mets can't afford this season. So it's kind of hard with that trend to be like, okay, Tyler McGill is definitely taking that next step up, because we thought that last season and the season before that, and it just simply didn't remain consistent, unfortunately. So Tyler McGill, I know he's pitched around 8 innings so far in spring training, has a bunch of strikeouts. He's throwing the ball well, locating the ball well, 1.13 ERA. I understand all that statistics wise, but we need to see that over the course of 162 and not just at face value here in the month of April when the season comes up. That's first and foremost. But secondly, and I will give him credit too, because I think he does deserve credit. Like he's gone out there each inning, each outing so far in spring training, and he's locating his pitches well. And I see a different like confidence level of him, which is what I'm really just sort of assessing now. It's like the confidence and where his pitch location is, not really that end result of what the numbers are. I hope that makes sense to everybody. That's both on the defensive side of the ball, the pitching side of the ball, and the offensive side of the ball. I could care less about results. If Mark Vientos is 0 for 20 and he literally doesn't have a single hit on spring training, but he is smoking the ball each time up at bat, I would almost rather that than see him have a couple of hits on this spring training and still bat 190 and just look like a shell of himself, right? And what he could potentially be. That's not what I like to see in terms of the process, but we'll see what happens. There's a lot of considerations to take into account here. Who's going to be the opening day pitcher now that Kodai Singh is injured? Tyler McGill is definitely going to be in that conversation. Jose Quintana, who had a nice little outing yesterday, is in that conversation. Luis Severino, who goes tonight against the Marlins, is in that conversation. Who would you pick as your opening day starter right now, Nelson? Because I posed this question on my channel, especially with Rob when he was on the live stream talking with me last week. I was like, do we want Jose Quintana, especially against Freddie Peralta opening day, or we want more of that upside? I don't know. You can go the safe way in Jose Quintana, or you can go and take a little bit of a risk and say, hey, Sevy, show us what you got. Opening day, the floor is yours. Like, what would you prefer, or just bank on Tyler McGill again?
No, my strategy is anybody but McGill, ABM. I'll preach that all day, every day. So I don't care who starts, but as long as I don't have to turn on opening day and see that big, goofy, dumbass nickname motherfucker on my TV, I'll be happy. I'll take freaking Quintana. I'll take Sevi. Just I just don't want to see two guys I don't want to see on opening day: McGill and Drew Smith. Just give me a
Yeah,
day. Give me that first day without those two, and whatever happens after that's fine. I don't want to see them. I just don't. I don't want to see it. I don't want. I don't want my opening day experience ruined by those two
right.
people. So that's where I'm at with it.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And so like I think that honestly, realistically, if history repeats itself, like it would pain me to see too, but thank goodness I'm not actually going to that game. On Thursday, I believe is when we open up, but I'm going to the Saturday game and hopefully I can see Luis Severino on the mound. In a perfect world for it to work out the way that I want, it would go McGill, then Quintana, then Severino, so I can see Severino on Saturday. But I know that I'm in for a rude awakening there, so we'll see what happens. But Darren checking into the chat. Oh wait, I think you tossed something up. Make sure you go ahead, spit what you want to spit, Nelson.
No, I apologize. I got nothing to lose. Fuck you. So, Mister, whatever the hell your name is, peace.
All right. This is the last. This is the Interstate Mets finale, so we're gonna roll with that. But anyways, CMAC, we appreciate you. I appreciate you. Thank you for
I
tuning
was
into
gonna
the
say
channel. This is
not we. He appreciates you. I
Yeah,
don't.
I appreciate you. Nelson has a feeling, and I honestly do respect your feelings, though, Nelson. I have to validate them because, like, at the end of the day, like Tyler McGill, at the end of the day, right? We're sitting here arguing about Tyler McGill. Like, is he really worth the argument? But he hasn't proven anything to us to be that guy. Like he hasn't. And I think what's his face? M Easy was in the chat talking about, but all of us Mets fans love Jeremy Hefner. And it's like, is it really on Jeremy Hefner that he hasn't taken that next step? I know I don't know how you want to call it. I know the pitch, the spork is going to be in effect this season. But like, is that really going to make a tremendous difference this season? I don't know, but we'll wait to see how it plays out. But another thing that I wanted to say is that we have another thing to talk about here in terms of free agency, because there is still free agents out there. And we know we're not going to sign Jordan Montgomery. We know we're not going to sign Blake Snell. The pitching is going to just roll in as it is. A lot of people are talking about Michael Lorenzen. I know Michael Lorenzen is not going to be a New York Met. We've been hearing about JD Martinez. These guys from the New York Post, John Heyman, Mike Puma, they can't let it go. Just today, earlier today, I'm not sure how credible it is, but Craig Mish, believe he covers the Marlins, has been saying there's been preliminary discussions about the Marlins and JD Martinez talking with one another. I don't know at this point. Are you in the slightest bit confident that the Mets can pull this off? Because I don't see JD Martinez's price dropping. I just don't see it. So what do you think? Is it realistic or is it not? And by the way, if you're tuning into here, 41 people in the chat. Thank you so much. Hit this thumbs up on both streams, subscribe to all channels, and do all that fun stuff. This is the Interstate Mets Report finale, but keep hitting that thumbs up. But what do you think about JD Martinez and the recent smoke about him coming from Heyman's mouth? What do you think?
I mean, we've been listening to this crap for how many months? It's been
A
since
long time.
December. I don't think we're signing JD Martinez. I gave up on that hope a long time ago. I wish we would. I've said it time and time again. I appreciate all the work he's put in and all the effort, but Vientos, I don't think is that guy. So yeah, I would have loved a legitimate DH to slot into that lineup. I just don't see it happening. I don't see it happening with him. I really don't see us signing any more free agents of significance at this point. Maybe a minor league deal here or there because we like to give those out. But at this point, I don't think we're getting any of those big names unless they take a huge discount.
Right.
Which I mean, they don't seem to be willing to do. Like it's crazy. Where the season's about to start and these guys are still without a contract. Um, it's insane. We'll see. We'll see where it goes. But yeah, I don't think the Mets are getting anybody else. I just think at this point we're riding with what we got and hoping for the best. I'm like I said, I'm not giving up on the season at all. I don't feel as good as I did before Senga got hurt, but
Yeah.
that is I had already low expectations for Vientos, so it's not like I'm down on the lineup or anything like that. But I don't know. But we'll just see how it goes. I hope the rest of the guys can stay healthy and that Senga comes back sooner than later. But I really don't think we're getting any more help from the outside.
Yeah, I don't think so either. And Ricardo is a guy. Shout out to both Ricardo and Darren Rivera here in the chat. I'm gonna get to this comment here in just a second. Both members of my channel, so shout out to you all for the support. Darren, I got your channel merch on the way to you. Drop that off, so that is going to be to you next week. Um, Ricardo saying, "I take it Nelson hates McGill." Yes, if you haven't found out about that already, he is not a fan of two players on this team, one being Tyler McGill and the other being Jeff McNeil, who we haven't seen at all so far this spring training after that diagnosis that he got at the tail end of last season about, I believe, his UCL. But nonetheless, that's a topic for another day. As it pertains to Ricardo here, because you are another person, Ricardo, that also is not high on Mark Vientos. I know that from all my previous streams, which is fine. Like, he hasn't proven anything so far either. In spring training, even going back to last season and inconsistent at bats. Obviously, he's still Can you hear me? My audio cut out.
I was just about to say, I'm not sure if that was me that lost you
No,
or that.
no, my audio cut out. I apologize. I was just about to say that Mark Vientos, you can win and prioritize a winning season and try to get to the wild card spot while also seeing what you have in Brett Beatty and Mark Vientos. We've been saying that for countless amount of months already, right? As soon as we got that picture that this front office was going to prioritize in some capacity development, then we knew that in some sort of combination, whether it's at third base or DH, Brett Beatty is going to be out there, and so is Mark Vientos. Now, listen, if the Mets go out and sign JD Martinez, are we going to be crying about it? No, absolutely not. Because we still probably want to see what Brett Beatty and Mark Vientos have to offer in some sort of capacity, but I'll take JD Martinez as the DH all day. I've been clamoring for a DH this whole entire offseason until about a couple months ago when David Stearns was just like, hey, listen, Mark Vientos is the guy, more or less. But I was clamoring for Justin Turner, like Carlos was saying here in the chat. I was clamoring for Justin Turner. Obviously, he went to Toronto on 13 for a $13 million contract, but this is a situation where we're going to see how it unfolds. It's possible to do one thing but also accomplishing the other, right? When it comes to development and winning. So that's kind of where I'm at with it. So we'll see. Sorry, Mr. Nobody and Darren for the no audio. My mic cuts out from time to time. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with that. And I really don't think this lineup is going to be getting any more outside help, like you said. I'm in that same boat. Back to what Mr. Nobody was saying, I really do think that I really do think that he's just a ploy. John Heyman is just like an extension of Scott Boras right now in terms of getting his clients what he wants and utilizing the Mets as leverage for that. So that's kind of where I'm at with that. But let's talk a little bit more positive stuff, right? We could talk starting pitching all day. We can talk lineup all day. One thing that's looked good and that we expected to look good is the bullpen. We saw Shintaro Fujinami's debut last night. We saw Adam Ottavino's debut last night against the Nationals. We've seen the external guys that David Stearns went out there and got this offseason, and your Michael Tonkins and Austin Adams put up scoreless innings so far this spring training. This bullpen not only looks good, but it also looks deep. What's your take on the bullpen and who's impressed you so far? And we also haven't talked about the other guys like Yaxel Rios, Johan Ramirez, Nate Lavender, all those guys as well. So a lot of names to choose from when we have this discussion. What do you think, Nelson?
Well, like I said, I haven't watched a ton of the spring, but I've talked about this before. I I loved what Stearns did with the bullpen this offseason. I like all the additions. I feel good. That's the one. If there's one part of this team I feel really good about, it's the bullpen. Some people may disagree with that, but I just think we have enough live arms that it's going to work out. Lavender's a guy I've been preaching about for a while. I like
Right.
him. I don't know if he'll make the team directly out of spring. Be nice if he did. That'd be a cool little story. But either way, I think we'll see him eventually. Um, Fujinami has, I mean, we know his stuff is amazing. We just has to control it, right? And that's the same can be said for a lot of bullpen arms. Like a lot of these guys, sorry about that. A lot of these guys throw high 90s, 100 miles an hour, but the problem is they walk the bases loaded. They
Right.
don't have that command. But I think we have enough talent in that pen that it's gonna be good. I feel good about it. Can't wait to watch some of these other guys pitch. I'm gonna try to watch the game tonight, actually. But yeah, it's the pen is the one thing that I just don't have a. I don't know. Maybe it should scare me because I know the Mets pens in the past have had issues, but I really like um I really like what I'm seeing. MEZ does make a good point. Alvarez throwing out runners does help Ottavino because that's the thing with Ottavino. We talked about this before earlier this offseason too. Like his problem is once he gets a guy on base. Last year, almost every time it was a double. So like we need. that to stop. And obviously he's gonna let guys on base, but if he can cut down on the walks and cut down on the base runners, that'll only help him. If Alvarez is gunning guys down, that obviously helps as well. But yeah, I don't know. I feel fine. Saw Diaz getting told about the LED lights that got put in the stadium, and he was excited about that. That should be cool to see. I always was jealous a little bit. I know some people find that stuff corny, but I see other teams like do all the things with the lights, and I was like, man, that's cool. I kind of think wish the Mets could do that. So now we can. It'll be interesting to see with home run celebrations and all that, like
Yeah.
what they do with the light show. Like that stuff is fun to me. Like, and just like the dance, not to really get into all that, but just the dance squad or whatever it's called. Like that stuff to me, it's fun. Like if you're not having fun watching the sport, then what the hell are you doing? Like I know
Right.
some people are just, oh, well, it's just about what's on the field, but there's kids and stuff going to these games too. Like you got to entertain everybody. So I don't know. I just don't have an issue with any of that. So I just saw that little bit of a clip of that interview, and that was cool that he's excited about it. So yeah, I feel good about the bullpen.
Yeah, there's a lot of like non-baseball related things that are like shaping up to be fantastic for the New York Mets and that surrounding Flushing area. Like you just said, to get a little bit off topic in terms of the actual team, the LED lights are a cool addition for Edwin Diaz's intro in specific, or home runs, or however they decide to utilize that. The dance team, a lot of people having a back and forth debate over a literal dance team for baseball. I get it. It's not a classic baseball thing, but the Mets are trying to reinvent the wheel, and so is Steve Cohen in terms of bringing excitement back into Queens and bringing excitement back into baseball. I know that that could be done in many different ways. A lot of people are like, oh, that can be done by putting a competitive team together. We understand that, but this team will be competitive at some point, whether it's this season or not, nobody knows. But I like to see the actual ins and outs of not only this roster being, progressing, but also just the additional amenities to make fans and season ticket holders happy as well. And also, I'm not sure if you all seen this on X or you, Nelson. um, NYCFC, the soccer team over there in New York, is building their stadium right next to City Field as well. So that's going to be like a whole complex, which is going to be awesome for that environment. I'm not sure how anybody's like stance is on that. It's kind of shocking that they got that sort of approved, because I know that the politics behind that are a little bit like squirrely and all that good stuff, because it is NYC at the end of the day. I understand that, but it's just cool to see that sort of happening in that sort of area, I guess, progressing a little bit. I don't know. Am I off tuning that? I don't know. Because I go off of, obviously, we don't live in the immediate area. I don't live in the immediate area. I haven't been there in a while. Um, I'm actually going to be going back for the first time in a while this year. So I don't know. I see a lot of differences in opinions on it. People are saying parking is going to be expensive. Other people saying it's great that there's going to be actually like entertainment over there. What's your take on it? I'm curious, just like off topic a little bit.
I mean, like you, I don't have to deal with like the traffic and all the BS and the transportation issues and the parking and this and that and the other. So it's easy for me to say, hey, it's cool. Um, but no, I mean, in the long run, would you rather have that or what it is now or what it has been for years, where there's just nothing there? If they get that soccer stadium in and get the casino that they had proposed and everything else, the hotels, the restaurants, like to me, like that's cool. Like I've been to, not to give the Braves credit because I hate the Braves, but I've been down there and I've been to the stadium, the new stadium, and they have what's called the Battery outside of that park, and it's
Right.
just bars and restaurants, and there's housing and there's hotels and there's just open area where you can just chill and hang out and drink and have fun, and there's people playing music, and it's just like the vibe is like awesome. So like if
Right.
the Mets could get something similar near City Field, like I feel like that would be a good thing. um and same like PNC Park, like the park itself is awesome. It does have some stuff around it, but still it's more than more than City Field has. Like at the moment, City Field has nothing. Like at least
Yeah.
at PNC, you can get out of the game. You can the casino's not too far away. You can walk down there. There's bars all around it. Like there's stuff to do. Um, so like that's all like stuff that I think is only a good thing. I would think for the community and for everything else. So nah, never that. Like I saw the joke about Amish country Yankee fan. If anything, you might get me with oh, almost an accident right in front of me. uh you might get me like a sneak on the Amish country Pirates fan, just because I follow the Pirates just because they're local, but nah.
Right.
Uh, but definitely never supporting the Braves. But I do have to give them their credit when it comes to outside of that stadium. It's pretty sick, and I got pretty wasted hanging out there. So um yeah, I think that kind of stuff is only good for the team, but again, you're gonna have the fans on the other side of it where they just don't want to deal with the headaches of the extra travel time and the parking lot and all that garbage. So I don't know. With anything, you're gonna have people that love it, people that hate it. I'm on the it can only be a good thing side of it, but I know not everybody's gonna agree with that.
Yeah, I know, and there's a lot of differences opinions, man, and I think it can only be a good thing too. But obviously, there has to be some sort of cons with it. I just can't point it out right now. This is funny. I'm reading an article right now on MLB.com. Anthony DeComo tweeted it out saying Jose Iglesias dropped a new single. So I guess he has a music career along with his nice little start to spring training.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Um
He's
maybe
racking up hundreds and thousands of streams on Spotify and other apps. So that's cool. That's a unique little tidbit there. But as it pertains to the actual news of the Mets, I think Tom dropping some news here for us. Grant Hartwig, and Josh Walker option to AAA. Alex Ramirez, big fan of Alex Ramirez on this podcast, option to AA. I was kind of curious whether he's going to go back to high A ball, AA, and Lavender sent out to the minor league camp. So those are your updates, courtesy of Tom, while we are on stream. So I appreciate that Tom. Thank you so much. Um, but yeah, like I said, I mean, who's impressed versus who hasn't? I think it's pretty clear right now, only 11 games through. I think your eyes can't really deceive you, even if it's only spring training. Now, that's not to say that we're writing off any XYZ player because they're having a bad spring training. That's not really what we're getting at. But at the end of the day, when we come up here and talk about this team, the only thing that we have to base off, like anything off of right now in terms of content, is what we've seen through the first 11 games after taking I don't know what we did this last offseason. It's a miracle that we even survived the content from this past offseason. But finally, to get some spring training action, live action, we have to at least analyze some sort of these performances in some sort of manner, if that makes sense. So I'm excited for the season nonetheless. The bullpen is going to be interesting to see how it shakes out. So I dropped a video on my uh, account now, so on my channel, and I basically said the shoe-ins for the bullpen right now. And if you disagree with this, you let me know. But I want to see who you have making the rest of the roster spots on the bullpen. I said Diaz, Rayleigh, Ottavino, Lopez, and Diekman are your 5 shoe-ins for the bullpen. I didn't include Fujinami in that because on the broadcast, they made a great point that he does have a couple of options attached to his name. Same thing why I don't think DJ Stewart's going to make the opening day roster because he has an option as well, coupled to the fact that he doesn't look impressive. So who do you think rounds out the bullpen? Because I think there's 8 bullpen spots available, right? Only 13 pitching roster spots available. 5 will go to the starting rotation. 8 will go to the bullpen. I just named you 5 shoe-ins. I think I said on my video Fujinami's probably going to be one if I had to guess, although I could see him starting off in AAA. Drew Smith probably is going to get that last chance, and then you have to have a long man / spot starter, and I gave that to Joey Lucchesi. So what do you think? How do you think those 3 spots are going to fill out for the bullpen?
I pretty much agree. I think Fujinami does get a spot. I know people don't want to hear it. Drew Smith is going to make this team.
Yeah.
It's going to happen. I'd be shocked if it doesn't. And then I guess the only place I might disagree is the Lucchese thing. I could see maybe Budo or some other guy sneaking in there, but yeah, it's pretty much. I mean, those are the guys. Maybe, but we still got a few weeks left. Maybe somebody pitches themselves into the conversation, but I just can't see a world where Drew Smith, as much as I hate to say it, doesn't make the roster. He's been on the team for however many years now, so obviously, like, he's an established guy. They, for some reason, still think decent of him at least. So I think they're going to give him that shot. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like I said, the bullpen I don't have a concern with just because there's enough arms. Even if somebody falters that we decide to go with from the jump, I feel like we'll have enough guys in AAA ready to like slot in. So I I'm not too concerned about it. But yeah, as much as I hate to say it, Drew Smith is probably on this roster opening day.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I can't imagine the Mets letting him go. I think this is going to be the last hurrah if he doesn't really impress. He's the longest tenured Mets pitcher. That doesn't really mean anything at the end of the day, but I think that the Mets are just going to give him that chance. I just can see that. I have that just like gut feeling of that happening. So, um, Pastor Steve checking in. He said, "Good evening from my hospital bed." Pastor Steve, I hope that you are feeling better. I appreciate you tuning into the content. That is a dedicated Mets fan right there. So he says, bring on the good news in LGM. Thank you for tuning in. We don't really have any good news to bring. I think it'd be a little bit more of good news if JD Martinez was in the realm of possibility for the Mets, but we all think that he's not because for multiple factors that we just went over. So catch the replay on that front in terms of the JD Martinez discussion. But the good news is that baseball's back. That's the good news that I can bring you, Pastor Steve, that the smell of baseball's in the air. And honestly, I get football's great and the start of football is exciting, but for me, what really signifies the warmer weather coming our way is the start of baseball, the sunshine coming out, especially if you live in the northern states. That is what excites me. So I'm glad that baseball is back in some capacity. I know we're going to get sick of spring training probably here in the next week, week and a half, and just sort of wait till opening day. But nonetheless, the content's rolling on, and we are talking about this team. Um, I just like there's not too many conclusions that I can draw right now minus the fact that there's going to be competition for the bullpen spot, but with a couple of guys like we just said, Lucchese, Buto, Fuji, Smith, all those guys. Lavender's obviously probably not going to make it at this point if they optioned him back to the minor league camp. I don't think that he was going to be an option anyways because we already have two lefties, but we'll see if he comes up at any point this season, but also the bench spot too. Like, I just want to get your thoughts and opinions on this last topic here of the bench spot, because we've seen Jose Iglesias, who's a dual talent type of guy, baseball and music, lighting it up in spring training so far, defensively and offensively. We've seen Trace Thompson, um, Splash brother of Clay Thompson, lighting it up in spring training so far, getting on base, hitting doubles, hitting home runs, also versatile outfielder. I think the bench spot is really going to, like, who gets it is really going to speak volumes of how the Mets view Mark Vientos and what sort of capacity of confidence they have in Mark Vientos. Because if they're planning on putting Mark Vientos out there consistently for the large majority of the season at DH, no matter what happens, if he has success or not, then that can probably signify maybe Trace Thompson getting a chance as that sort of fifth outfielder. And you just take the best bat available. But if they're not, and they really want that platoon, like you're talking about, and like we mentioned earlier in the stream, then DJ Stewart or even a G-Man Choi makes very good sense to be that lefty to platoon with Mark Vientos. So I want to get your final thoughts here on that bench spot before we wrap it up for today.
I really haven't seen these guys play much. Thompson, I've heard good things. Um, I don't know. I maybe it's because I don't believe in DJ Stewart at all. I'd rather see um, Trace Thompson or Iglesias or what have you get a shot. Um, in situations like that, I'd almost always rather go with the new blood. That's just I don't know. That's just how I feel about it. Um, so yeah, I mean, if they want to give him a shot, I don't mind giving Trace Thompson a shot. It's not like these guys aren't interchangeable. If you don't go with the one guy, or if you go with the one guy and he sucks, you can always bring up another guy from AAA. It's not going to really make that much of a difference. Um, but hopefully you pick the right guy and they're hot. Like we've seen it happen. It's sporadically. Like who was it the other year? Jankowski. It seemed like every time he got in a game, like he was
Right.
making things happen. Like you just get that spark sometimes from that random bench player that really gets the team going. So you hope that whatever decision they make, like that's what you get. You get just like a spark plug that can come up off the bench in a spot and make something happen. So, and then whenever they run out of their magic, you try to replace them with somebody else that has some magic left. So
Right.
that's where I view the bench situation. Um, I really wish we had a DH I believed in. But hopefully, I don't know. Hopefully, Vientos still proves me wrong.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. That's a fair assessment at it. Like I said, it's just like throwing things at the wall to seeing what sticks. We've been saying that for the bullpen, but that really is that last bench spot, whoever you're allocating it to. Um, Probably, right? You have flexibility there. You can start off with a DJ Stewart, maybe, or even a Trace Thompson, because I know Trace Thompson, being 32 years old in the prime of his career, on a minor league deal, I'm not sure how that really works out because if he's on a minor league deal and he gets sent down, I'm not really sure if that counts as an option. But nonetheless, the whole ins and outs of the contract of sending them down, you have like things to play around with and work with if you're the New York Mets front office. But it's really just throwing something at the wall, seeing if Trace Thompson is that guy. If not, then you move DJ Stewart back up. If DJ Stewart struggles, he's only on a cheap arbitration year deal at $1.5 million. That's not really much in the grand scheme of things. You can bring up G-Man Choi. So like there's just like there's probably going to be a revolving door to see what sticks in that last bench spot. So we'll see what happens there. But definitely not too big of a talking point, but it has been a discussion over on my channel about that. But Ricardo also chiming in saying it's most definitely a good thing. He's talking about the casinos and the NYCFC stadium, unless you're looking at Chop Shop. So, um, yeah, I think that Tom saying Mazika, Patrick Mazika, Mets legend and walk-off legend there as well. Yeah, other guys are pressing too. Like if Brett Beatty doesn't get the job done at third base, I'm not saying the Mets are going to pull the plug like immediately just because he's having a bad spring training or just because he has a down April or down May. I think that Vientos and Beatty are going to get very large leashes in this developmental type season. But if at some point the front office becomes very impatient and they're just like need to pull the plug, you have infielder options available that have impressed so far in spring training. Rylan Bannon, both with the glove and the bat, has looked good. Jose Iglesias, journeyman veteran, has looked pretty impressive as well. You have options, you know what I mean? And we haven't seen Jeff McNeil as of yet on that front as well. So that's something to take into consideration. I've
Yeah,
been saying if DJ's, yeah, go ahead.
is McNeil playing? Like, has he played at all? I
No, he hasn't because he's recovering from that elbow injury that he had. I believe it's in his non-throwing arm, but I could be mistaken. It has to be though because he got cleared to play. He has like a minor tear in his UCL or something like that that just he didn't get surgery for. So that's like a
that's
thing
scary.
that he's been trying to battle back with, and he has bicep soreness all of a sudden now as well. I'm not sure if that's stemming from that elbow, but it's very close there. So maybe some interworkings of those connected parts in the arm. I don't know, man. It's not inspiring confidence after a down year of Jeff McNeil to see this happening.
Yeah.
So
So then, remember what I said earlier about having two holes in the lineup. If McNeil for some reason can't go, then you have three holes in the line.
yeah, exactly. I mean, it's just a spiraling effect at this point,
Yeah.
right?
All right.
So
Well, we just gotta hope for the best, I guess. But yeah, that's
yeah,
not too good.
no, not at all. Yaman saying if Stewart does not make the roster, I don't want to see a 30-year-old guy in the minors. Trade him for a young minor leaguer or international money. Yeah, I mean they can do that. They have the option of doing that. Um, doesn't really make sense. He's also, like you said, 30 years old. Like he's not going to have any sort of future on this team. Last year, by luck of the draw, he did well and bought himself another contract. He bought himself $1.5 million. Great for him, but he didn't buy himself a roster spot opening day, and he didn't buy himself a spot on this team moving forward. So I can get down with that. I'm not sure who's going to want DJ Stewart. I'm sure there's some sort of market for him, or you can just trade him for the good old cash and considerations. That's also a possibility as well. So we'll see. A couple other comments to get to before we wrap things up here. Just want to make sure we're doing our due diligence in terms of making this interactive, like we always have been. We've prided ourselves on that Interstate Mets report. Ricardo saying, I think Tonkin over Joey for the final spot just because they're going to want to keep Joey stretched out. Yeah, that's a good point as well. That's a good point as well. I can see that. He's talking about Michael Tonkin, who's looked pretty good. Was an Atlanta Brave last season. He's got a lot of movement on that. I want to say it's a slider curveball, so I'm going to say it's a slurve. I don't know, sweeper maybe. I don't know how you classify that, but yeah, he does look good as well. So that is also a realistic option as well. Carlos is saying, you know what I don't like about Beatty? It seems like he just doesn't care. He thinks he's entitled to it instead of earning it. I don't know if you're right there. I'm not sure if I'm going to agree with you. A lot of people are talking about Brett Beatty not putting in work in the offseason. Like, it just wasn't as advertised as Mark Vientos. I don't think he doesn't care. I just quite simply, if he doesn't pan out in New York, I can see him going elsewhere and succeeding. I just don't know if this large market of New York and that pressure is something that Brett Beatty's built for. What do you think, Nelson?
Completely agree. I think if there's one thing, I feel like the talent is still there. I just feel like for whatever reason, New York might be holding this kid back.
Yeah.
He's the kind of kid that I could see going to some obscure team to know the A's or somebody that nobody pays attention to, and he'll do his thing. But right now, and we could be wrong, he could turn it around. We never know. But right
Right.
now, it just doesn't look like New York is the spot for him. But I don't know, man. I still feel like there is some talent there to be unlocked. I hope we can figure it out and he can get it done. But if not, then listen, if there's one thing we have in spades is infielders, right?
Mhm.
They might not all be ready yet, but we got tons of infielders waiting in the wings. So if Beatty ain't the guy, I think we can survive that. But yeah, it just sucks because he did have a lot of potential. Um, Colorado would be a nice spot for him. Like the bat
Yeah.
might be able to play up a little bit in Colorado. Um, so I don't know. We'll see. Who knows? Maybe we are talking about a Brett Brady trade down the line or something. We'll see what
Yeah.
happens.
Yeah, we'll see a lot of things open to interpretation, a lot of things regarding the Mets open to possibility, right? There's a lot of possibilities that extend beyond this season. So, I think that's going to wrap it up though. Unless we have anything else, this has been the Interstate Mets report finale. It's March 8th, 2024. We just want to thank everyone in the chat and the channel for all the support. Like, it's been very immense, man. Like it's been very overwhelming. Everybody that's been in here in this chat on the Interstate Mets report or the standalone videos that we do, we appreciate each and every one of you, regardless if you give us pushback on any of our content or opinions. That's why we're up here doing it. We appreciate it. Nelson, I'm gonna let you take the floor. Last words, final words here in the Interstate Mets report. But I just wanted to express to everybody because you all will be seeing me on the channel. If you subscribe to my channel, you'll be seeing a lot more of me. I want to express my gratitude to everybody on this on this like Interstate Mets report on this stream. Thank you all so much for the support. It's been great to see of initial product of us trying to decide on a name, a unique name to stand up this collaboration all the way until now, going from 3 to 4 people watching to about 47 here in the chat right now that I can see on this StreamYard little clip here. It's been awesome. That's what I like to do, and that's what I like to see. And I appreciate the support everybody in the chat. So Nelson, I'm gonna give you the floor as well.
Yeah, no, I appreciate everybody. Like you said, it's been a fun ride. Appreciate you, Chris. It's been fun doing this. Like I said, I don't think I'm not going anywhere. I just may not be around as much. And maybe, like I said, down the line, we can maybe pick this back up in some way, shape, or form. Whatever. We'll have to obviously discuss how that looks. Might not be exactly the same, but uh, we'll figure that out. But yeah, in the meantime, make sure y'all keep tuning in. We're still going to be around, especially Chris. He's gonna, I'm sure he loves doing this content stuff way more than I do, and he's on this every day with one team or another. It's not just the Mets. So I do want to shout out this. I got to shout out my guy Tom because he's been my support from the start. Like this guy reaches out to me, checks in on me. Oh, some of you may or may not know. Like the reason I even started doing this content was to help me like get out of a funk I was in with my mental health. It's been an up and down battle for a while. Still, I have my highs and my lows. I think maybe right now I'm kind of on a low, but I'm getting back out, trying to get out of the funk again. And Tom's been there for me. Like he's always there. Like dude lives in England. He was my first guest on my like little podcast I was doing on my own for a little bit. Like, and I'm gonna have him on soon to just shoot the shit. Um, Before the season starts, we are gonna do a little something just to talk because he's my guy, and I really want to show him some love. But yeah, everybody else too. Like you guys are great. Um, and yeah, everybody except for Mahone or whatever his name was, he can go screw himself. But everybody else, I appreciate you all. And I saw Carlos mention something about wrestling. I know a guy that really doesn't like wrestling. Our friend Tone, who apparently retired
Yeah.
his podcast as well. So I guess it's in the air. Guys just taking a little bit of a step back, but no, there's still plenty of great content creators out there, and everybody's gonna get their full share of content. And like I said, you'll still see me, so don't unsubscribe or what have you. Just be patient. We'll have some stuff cooking. But yeah, man. In the meantime, make sure you tuning in to Chris's stuff for sure. And I appreciate you, buddy.
Yeah, man, it's been real. Like I said, it's been awesome to do this, Carlos. We appreciate you. Can't wait till y'all are back. We've agreed on a lot. We disagreed on a lot, but you guys are good, mate. You guys make good content, and he likes interacting with us, so I appreciate that. Yeah, it means a lot. We love interacting with each and every one of you. We don't do this just to sit here and talk at a computer screen or a phone screen. We do this because we enjoy getting your perspective in the comment section. It's just that we're up on screen and you all are in the chat, which is a-okay. We've signed up for this, and that's why we do it. So we appreciate it. A lot more content coming from both of us. Just keep checking in. The door has been left open, right, mutually between Nelson and myself for a potential return, but it's just not going to happen for a little bit until we get everything else figured out. So we appreciate all the support. This has been the Interstate Mets Report finale. As always, hit that thumbs up. Make sure you comment your thoughts and opinions. If you hit the replay chat, go ahead and drop your comments. And make sure you keep on subscribing to both channels because we will be pumping out content as well. This is the final goodbye. We appreciate the support. Thank you for everybody on the channel, both channels. We will see you all on both of our respective contents. And y'all be easy. Let's go Mets. And the season is very fastly approaching, Nelson. I appreciate it, buddy. Always a great time chopping it up with you. And I'll see you very shortly as well. See you all later. Goodbye.
See you guys. Peace. Thank you for watching the Interstate Mets Report, streaming